What's up YouTube? Capital G here, checking out a brand new trap card that just got revealed coming out of Rise of the Duelist. This appears to be a trap card that is specifically designed to benefit and or help trap decks. And by the way, I love the Goblin of Greed storyline. I really got to make that into a video because it's so freaking extensive. It's interesting because if you guys ever seen the card Cashback, I believe that the Jar of Greed got broken on that card, and it looks like he somehow put it back together and he's shining it back up. He's probably going to end up trying to sell it to somebody or something, telling them that it's always been in mint condition and it's never been broken or dropped or anything like that. But let's go ahead and check out the card. So this is reusable Jar, which actually in the scope of the lore would make sense. It was broken. Now he's fixing it. He's trying to reuse it essentially. It's a continuous trap card. That's a hard once per turn. It says you can banish one trap from your graveyard. That's a cost. Add one trap with a different name from your graveyard to your hand. So in my opinion, this card functions very similarly to something like Trap Trick. And I mean that if you take the two cards and you boil them down to their core, they're basically trap cards that get you to other trap cards. Trap Trick, of course, using your deck as its resource pool, and with a couple more steps, basically Trap Trick can give itself up to get another trap from your deck, and then maybe you can activate that trap if you want. This card uses your graveyard as a source, and the fact that it is continuous does lead me to believe there could be situations where you make some significant advantage out of this card. Obviously, the first time you activate and resolve this effect, you're just going to be breaking even. This card's just going to kind of replace itself with another trap, but every turn after that, and this includes your opponent's turn, your turn, whatever, you're basically just getting pluses. So if your opponent can't get this card off the field and your graveyard is deep enough, you could potentially get a +2 or a +3 out of this card, and I think that your opponent might be overwhelmed by that advantage. Now, it goes without saying, in my opinion, that you're only really going to be able to use this in trap-based decks. You know, archetypes like Altergeist or Trap Trick come up. Maybe you could even throw Paleozoic Frogs, because these are archetypes that traditionally run a very heavy trap count, and they also run a bunch of different names of trap cards. And the fact that we have cards like Infinite and Permanent and Evenly Match, these really powerful potential blowout trap cards that not only add to your total trap count, but then also to the number of different names you have in your deck, that definitely benefits this type of card. Because to me, those kind of generic powerful trap cards that are interchangeable between these archetypes, it just makes it a lot easier to get your trap count really high in any of those given decks. But I kind of like this card. I think that if you are running it, you're definitely playing the long game. You're trying to out advantage your opponent. You're using this card to maybe try to get a +1 or a +2 and outgrind your opponent by using things like, you know, evac or crackdown, using impermanence multiple times in the span of a duel. And I could definitely see some value in that. Now, I do think that if you're using reusable Jar, you probably are going to have to bump your trap count up a little more. Maybe if your trap count was like 16 or 17, maybe even 18, you might have to move it up, not just with this card, but up a little more, just to make sure if you do ever hit this card, it's not going to be dead. I'm not sure I'd ever run 3 copies of this card though, because I don't know if decks can really load their graveyard up with traps that quickly, but I think it can be a decent 2 of in these trap-based decks. But whatever you guys think about reusable Jar, you leave that in the comment section below. Also, what do you guys see the Goblin of Greed and his storyline going? I gotta make that video, man. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already, and turn on that notification bell for daily videos.